Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Azulam here. Thank you so much for the love and support so far. I really appreciate you all. And if this is your first time of coming across my channel, please subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you get to know anytime I post a new video. So for today's tutorial, I will quickly share with you how to make a ball gown with cap sleeve for a 1-year-old baby girl. So if you're interested, let's move down to work. Here I have my front and back pattern cut out already. To see more on how to draft this, you can check out my video on how to make a party dress for a year-old baby girl, and you get to see how to do all that. So for the back, I'm going to do a little alteration because I want the back to be a V neck. So now I want, from this point, I'll be making it 4 inches. That is where I want the V to stop. I don't want it to be too open. Okay, so this is it. From here it should be okay. So that is the point there. I will just connect that point to a straight line. Okay, so this is where I want the V to end. So I'll just use my French curve and place it like this. Okay, making sure that it comes here and connect, okay, to that point. So I'll just bring it down. Remember, from this line, this is my zipper. Okay, so I'm going to cut it. By the time I sew, I will end up at this point here. Okay, so after cutting it out now, I will now place it on my fabric and cut it out. So now let me show you how to cut the down part before the cap sleeve, which is the main reason for today's tutorial. So here is the net that I'll be working with. Here I have 4 yards. As you can see, I've cut them out 1 yard each. So now I'm going to fold into 4, the same way you fold your fabric when you're making a circle dress. So I'm going to fold into 4. So as you can see, I've folded it into 4. This is 2, while this is 2. Remember, this side is closed and this side is also closed as well. So I'm going to fold the other 3 like this, and I'll place them on this one and pin before cutting. So as you can see, I've pinned them one after the other. Here I have all the 4 yards here. This is the first one, this is the second, the third, and the fourth one, all folded in 4 places. Okay, so this is it. Now I want this the length of the down part to be 11 inches. Okay, so I will start from this short side because I really want to exhaust it. Whatever remaining is what I'll be using to gather it. But if you don't want it to be too fluffy, you can just check the waist measurement. You can make it the waist measurement times 3 or times 2 or even times 4, depending on how fluffy you want it. For example, now for this one, the waist measurement is 20 inches. Okay, you can decide, okay, let me use 40, which is times 2, or 60, which is times 3 to make it, so that by the time you gather, the dress will be very fluffy. For example, if I want to use 20 inches, all you have to do is to divide that 20 inches by 6.28, and when you cut, you just have a normal flay. But if you want to gather that flay, you have to increase the waist measurement. So for example, if you want to make the waist measurement times 3, which is 60, you divide that 60 by 6.28. Whatever it gives you is what you'll be marking from this point to this area. That is what you give you the circumference. That is the waist circumference. After which, when you gather, you will now have the exact 20 inches or the waist measurement that you really need. Okay, I hope you get something from that explanation. So, but for this, I will just exhaust what I have. So from this side, I'll mark out the 11 inches, which is here. Okay. Actually, I want this gown to be very short. Okay. So now that's the point. From that point now, I'll check what I have here. Here is 6.5. So I'm going to make that 6.5 all the way around to meet at that point. although there are other ways of going about this, but this is the simple method I like to use when I'm in a hurry. Okay, so this is it. Now I will now measure out the length from this point. Now I'll measure out the remaining the 11 inches, and I'll connect it to that end. I've cut it out, so now I'll open it up one after the other. This is the first 1 yard, this is the second, the third, and the last. So I'll just open it up. This is where the zipper will come in. This is the first one. When doing this, you have to be careful so that you don't end up cutting both the front. So after this, now I'll show you how to cut the satin before we move to the cap sleeve. So here I have my satin. I'm going to fold it in a triangle way. Okay, so I'll just open it up and I will fold it in a triangle way, which is like this. So for the satin, remember it's folded in a triangle way. So when it's folded in a triangle way, if the waist is 20 inches, that will be 6. That is what I'll be using. That is if you're making a flay, a half flay. But now, since I want to gather it, that I'll be using 12 inches, which is times 2, because I don't want this part to be like the net. I really want the dress to be light, because if you fold this into 4, the same way I folded the net, you end up having a very heavy dress, and the baby will definitely complain. So now this I'll be using 12 inches, but it's up to you. If you like, you can also use 16 inches or 18 inches. It's up to you, but for this I'm very okay with 12 because I want it to be very light. So I'll use 12 inches. Okay, for more information you can check the description box, and you get to see more information on this particular triangle cutting. So, and guys, please don't skip the ads. That is the only way we get paid for this. So if you really support or like what I'm doing, please don't skip the ads. So now this is it. I'll now mark the same 11 inches, because by the time I end up folding the hem area, I'll end up having maybe 9.5 or 10, which is still okay. So this is 11. After marking that out, now I will cut. Upper part, as you can see, I've joined the shoulder. So now to determine the length of the cap sleeve, all I have to do is to measure what I have from this point Remember the midpoint that we did to determine the armhole. So I will just take my tape and place. The midpoint is 2 1/4. Okay, but I'll be making it 3 inches. Remember the cap sleeve apply on the back side as well. So if I'm using 3 inches, that will be 6 inches including the back side. So 6 inches is because if you want to use a straight cap sleeve, but if for this one I will gather it a little. So all I will do now is to multiply that 6 by 2, and that is 12. The extra 6 is what I'll be using to pull it and gather it. So now I will take my satin and I will mark out 12 inches on it. So this is my satin. I'll mark out 12 inches. Okay, so this is 12 inches here. After marking it out, I'll double it, but I'll use the same satin to double it. One will now be for the lining. So this is it. Now you determine the width. Okay, so this is the 3 inches, as you can see. So now I will just cut it out and I will fold it over to cut out the shape of the cap sleeve. Okay, this is up to you. If you want it to be more full, you just extend it. Instead of 12, you can use 16 inches or 18, depending on how you want your cap sleeve. So now I will just fold it over because I want to give it a slanting curve. Okay, from this point now, I'll just use my free hand and mark that out. Okay, make sure you connect back to that point. This is just how simple it is. So I'll just cut, making sure to connect back to this point here. So now when I open it up, this is what I have, as you can see. So now I'll double this. I'll bring another one so that I'll now sew it like this and turn it over. This will now come in on the shoulder area. So let me cut this now. This one I'll cut 3 more pieces, making it 4. Remember, it's for the two hands. So let me just cut it out. So here I have 2 pieces. Here I have 2 pieces. So now I will just sew from this point to this point, and I will do the same on this second one. So this is what I have. As you can see, I've done this part and this one as well, and I top stitch. So now the next thing to do, I will now take this to my sewing machine and I'll use my gather stitch to run it, and I'll do the same on this other one. So this is it. Now I will use my hand and drag it, okay, to where I want it, to the length that I really want. So now I will just drag it gently. Okay, if you have your weaving, you can do that before sewing it, so that these rough edges will not be like this. So this is it. Now I'll make sure I will take this, because this is where I'll pin it before using the lining to close it up. So this is it. As you're pulling, you make sure that you end up at that point that we really want to fix this. So I'll still drag it more. So this is very okay. This is exactly where I want it to be. So now I'll turn it over, making sure the place that I top stitch is facing up, and I'll pin it first, after which now I'll use the lining and I'll place it over like this on it. Okay, and I will now close it together with the sleeve, as you can see the way I did. So let me do this one first and show you. So this is it. As you can see, I've stitched it on the sleeve. So now I will take the lining the usual way I normally do, and then I'll place it over I will sew the neckline first, leaving 1 inch for my zipper. Then I'll close this up. So guys, this is what I have after joining it. As you can see, it's already looking beautiful and also neat. All I have to do now is to give it a good press. So now I'll close it up and I will join the down parts of the dress as well as the my lining. So let me just close it up and I will show you the final look of the dress. The final look of the dress, as you can see, is already looking so beautiful. Okay, so for how I fix the upper part, you can check out my video on how to make a party dress for 1-year-old baby girl, and you get to see step by step on how to do that. For the lining, you can also check my video on how to do that as well. And for the zipper, you can also check my video on how to fix an invisible zipper to a ball gown, and you get to see how to do all that. So that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon. I'll see you guys on the next one.